What's going on, everyone? Badger here. Make sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. And the this in this case is going to be Critical Drinker: Why Movies Are So Expensive, which it got by me. I saw it and I meant to watch it and I forgot about it. And then I was watching, or I was reading rather, an article of the Godzilla director shaming essentially Hollywood for not being able to produce anything of quality, even though they have these obscene budgets consistently. And of course, as you know, Godzilla minus one, which is getting all the rave reviews and all the accolades as is deserved, it had like a $15 million budget and like 20 or 30 people, under 30 people that worked on that film. So yeah, clearly it's not all about budget. So let's see what the drinker says. And just before, because I haven't seen what he says, my vote will be on their CGI budgets are horribly done. They are constantly changing what they want, which gives less time for animators to go over it with fine-tooth combs and make it look better, which is why you've convinced everyone that now we are more incapable of doing CGI than 10 years ago. And well, for all practice, intents and purposes, we are, but that's all because we are stretched so thin. They need one singular vision, as we saw with Godzilla minus one. That is one singular vision. And look what they did. So let's see what Drinker says.
If Godzilla minus one taught us anything, it's that Eastern filmmakers are probably going to end up doing to movies what manga is currently doing to the US comic book industry. The kind of things that make even my most demanding sessions with Tatiana look like a playful cuddle and an early night in comparison. Partly this is because they haven't yet been infected by the postmodern nihilistic malaise that's slowly killing Hollywood, but mostly it's because they're able to produce big bombastic movies on par with anything we can make.
They have not been infected with the woke mind virus. They do not have diversity, equity, and inclusion standards like every American company does, and it shows in their storytelling. Godzilla minus one is a great movie that everyone's loving, and no one said, hey, why aren't there 50% underrepresented groups? Where's the other ethnicities here? So
over here only for a fraction of the price. And it got me to thinking, why? Why are movies so damn expensive now? What is it about our style of filmmaking that results in ludicrous budgets of $200, $300, or even $400 million? Well, with this video, I want to shed some light on the issue. I'm going to delve a little deeper into the reasons behind the problem, and maybe even make a few suggestions for how it might be corrected in future. So hold on to your wallets as I take you through the 5 reasons why modern movies are so expensive.
And almost every example he just showed you was, with the exception of the Avengers, was light on CGI. They were all story, character, set, Gangs of New York, things like that, which are great movies if you've never seen Nerd Wars. I know you've never seen it because you ain't seen shit. So go watch Gangs of New York too.
1. Actors. There's no getting around this. Actors are paid way too much these days. And I'm not talking about the day players and the jobbers who live paycheck to paycheck and have to struggle just to get by. I'm talking about the top level talent, the A-listers, the cream of the crop, the men and women who command.
We got to stop giving work to Dwayne Johnson. So fucking ruined Black Adam, which torpedoed Henry coming back. You know what his most popular movies are? Do you know what the success of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is? The fucking Jumanji movies. The Jumanji movies are his most successful movies.
Such ridiculously overblown salaries that they actually push movie budgets to the point of failure, often with little or no justification, as it turns out. Take, for example, Jennifer Lawrence, the first female action star, first woman to discover fire, and the first intelligent life form on planet Earth, who was famously paid $20 million, about 15% of the film's total production budget, for a role in the movie Passengers, even though there was almost nothing.
More than Chris Pratt. Where was the controversy over the pay disparity?
To suggest that she was actually a box office draw. And no, I'm not going to count the Hunger Games in this because that was her breakout role, so she had no star power to exploit at the time. She was famous for sure, but she wasn't a box office draw, and that, my friend, is a very important distinction when you're writing paychecks. And it's not like this is a rare occurrence in Hollywood. Arnold Schwarzenegger got paid $30 million for his role in Terminator 3, even though he was clearly past his prime as an action star and hadn't had a major hit in almost 10 years.
How dare you?
In short, he was no longer a bankable box office draw, and yet he was still getting paid like one. It's even worse.
By the way, the worst part about, I mean, you can say the humor, but the worst part about T3 was Nick Stahl. as John Connor. You just should not have picked him. If you had had a more personable, a better John Connor, that movie's. I still think that movie is canon. Fuck, the ending is great. I don't care what you say. It leads right into T4, and that's a whole nother thing. Salvation.
Worse in the present day because, as other people have rightly pointed out, we don't even have movie stars now in the traditional sense.
No.
Yeah, we've still
Tom
got plenty
Cruise.
of famous actors with all their brand deals and magazine articles, but the days of Hollywood stars who could sell out movie theaters on their name alone are long gone. I mean, let's be real here. When was
Mention
the
Tom
last time
Cruise.
you went to see a movie purely because of who was in it? And yet, even as the commercial power of actors declines, their salaries just keep increasing. Mid-tier comedy actors like Adam Sandler and Will Ferrell, who churn out low-effort dog shit movies and haven't been commercially relevant in years, somehow still command $20 million paycheck.
He got that Netflix deal, bro. He's been getting Netflix money for years and just making movies for them. So I don't even think he's trying to get movies on the actual big screen.
Even Daisy Ridley, who's done precisely fuck all since Star Wars and practically vanished into obscurity, is being paid $12 million to reprise her role as Rey. Yeah, money well spent there, lads. Nice one.
For how many movies? Then it goes to her agents and her lawyers and taxes. And so really she's probably getting like 4 to 5 million, give or take.
And then there's The Rock, everyone's favorite lovable boulder who makes insane amounts of money for being in films that nobody can ever remember, who's apparently getting paid $50 million for his role in the upcoming movie Red 1.
Son of a
That is fucking absurd. You could literally make an entire mid-budget movie from his salary alone. There is no way that any actor can possibly be worth that much to a project. And the thing is, it's not just the actors themselves.
You could make a case because Robert Downey Jr. made $50 million for his, but even that, he took a bunch of back end options. He had faith. It was a redemption arc, and he damn sure is more important than the original MCU than anything Dwayne is in.
It's everything that comes along with them. The biggest stars will usually bring along a whole retinue of stylists, personal trainers, personal assistants, personal chefs, life coaches, publicists, and various other hangers-on, all of which have to be fed, housed, and paid, usually out of the production budget. All of this stuff adds up to one simple fact. Most actors are grossly overpaid for what they actually bring to a project, and their bloated salaries contribute to the spiraling cost of most big-budget Hollywood films. The only way you could realistically fix this is either put a cap on salaries or a massive reduction in upfront payments in favor of back-end deals, both of which would require a massive overhaul of the entire Hollywood.
No, stop fucking hiring these people. We started off by saying there's no movie stars in it. So why the fuck do we keep hiring these people that aren't movie stars anymore and that don't bring people in? You start hiring unknowns. It's the YouTube thing. All of us, you just go to the new creators that no one has corrupted them yet. You just go to the new actors. There's a lot of them. Trust me. Stop fucking hiring these people. Literally, there's no benefit, as we're finding out. They don't bring anyone in. Just get an unknown.
System. Number 2, production bloat. If you've ever worked at a big company for any length of time, you'll probably have noticed how much waste and inefficiency there is. Bizarre and nonsensical processes that do nothing but create logjams, pointless job titles that are no longer needed, people that have been around for so long that nobody really understands what they even do anymore. It's the kind of stuff.
And this also has to do with budget trickery that is so lovingly explained in The Office to Michael. If they make a movie really cheap, then the studio thinks that that's what movies cost. So they will give them consistently less money. So they have to make it seem like it costs more than it really does. So they don't get less money every time. That is, you don't actually think they spend $20,000 on a hammer, $40,000 on a toilet seat, do you?
That happens in a large and complex organization, and it's much the same with Hollywood movies. Like, how many times have you seen a film with a list of producers, executive producers, and special consultants a mile long and thought to yourself, what the fuck did all these people actually do? The answer most of the time is absolutely nothing. The thing is, big movie projects are a kind of mutually parasitic relationship. People generally want to be attached to them because it brings prestige and attention and allows them to pad out their resume to make it look like they've done way more stuff than they actually have. On the flip side, having the right name attached to your project can give it the clout it needs to get extra funding, better marketing, and bigger actors attached. Either way, all of these people command salaries regardless of how much work they actually do, and a lot of them can be pretty fucking expensive. And that's not even counting all the pointless made-up positions that have cropped up in recent years.
Oh, like an entire business of koofing, coming in and making sure people are social distancing and spraying things down. That there's an entire business that the koof brought in that they do not want to let go of their money.
I wonder how many movies have been improved by the presence of intimacy coordinators.
God damn it! I was thinking in my head, and intimacy coordinators. I hate them. They're the worst. Something that used to be between the two actors and the fucking director now has someone coming in, an intimacy director.
Sensitivity readers, on-site therapists, or diversity and inclusion consultants. But there they are anyway, and they all cost money.
Yep.
Lots of money. It's too much bullshit, too many layers of management, too many pointless people doing nothing useful, and it all adds up to a shocking waste of time, money, and resources. 3. Too much CGI. Again, you don't need me to tell you that modern movies have begun to rely on visual spectacle over character and story, and that usually means CGI, a lot of it. And the reality is that CGI is expensive as fuck these days, especially because most effects houses are in high demand, so they can basically charge whatever they want. A good example of this would be the Indiana Jones series. Raiders of the Lost Ark was filled with action, adventure, and spectacle, and it definitely resorted to visual effects when it had to, but for the most part it used models, pyrotechnics, stuntmen, and real locations for its filming. The result? It came in at a budget of just $20 million. That's about $67 million in today's money. Dial of Destiny, on the other hand, made extensive use of CGI, just like everything else these days, and combined with all the other factors we've already mentioned, plus a few more we haven't, the production budget ballooned to well over $3.
The problem is a lot of these techniques that he wants people to use require those people to actually give a shit about what they're making, and they oftentimes don't, which is why they go, we'll fix it in post.
300 million. That's almost 5 times larger than Raiders, even adjusted for inflation. And did it result in a movie that's 5 times as good? I'll let you decide. Number 4, bad writing.
This is probably one. This is one. This is the number one. And we found out from the WGA why. Because all the good writers have been pushed out because of their sex or their gender. And the new ones suck. They suck, and all they can do is vomit out agenda. They don't know how to write characters because they have no life experience from which to draw on, which is why they write all the characters as themselves, because they're all vapid little narcissists that think who and where they put their peepees in is what everyone wants to hear about.
As the fine people at Film Threat have done an excellent job of exposing in recent weeks, the current thinking in Hollywood circles is that old, pale, and male is stale, especially in the right.
Male and pale is stale. Male and pale is stale is what Chris Gore heard from the WGA, and we've heard that phrase, male and pale is stale, been around about 15 years now, which that tracks. That tracks.
Room, and the only way to fix the problem is to force them out and replace them with a new crop of younger and more diverse writers. Which is great as far as I'm concerned, because I like nothing more than seeing a whole group of people have opportunities and resources arbitrarily taken away from them and given to a completely different group that someone somewhere decided were far more deserving. It does create a bit of a problem though, because no matter how many boxes these new writers tick, the one that they keep missing out on is experience. For example, it's easy enough to write a big elaborate fight and chase sequence through a crowded city, but an experienced screenwriter would understand that something like that is going to be hugely expensive and time consuming to actually shoot. They tailor their scripts based on years of experience of what can actually be done with the production budget available. New writers don't have that kind of experience though, and so they tend to write stuff that's far beyond the scope of what can actually be delivered. The other big issue with people like that is that, well, a lot of the time, they're just not very good at what they do. They don't know how to put together smart, complex, logically consistent stories populated by compelling characters, interesting dialogue, and meaningful arcs. This low-quality writing has the knock-on effect of poor test screenings, which in turn gives rise to... Number 5, reshoots. Reshoots are the Marvel special bane of modern filmmaking. Yeah, I know it's always been a thing to some extent, and I know movies like Superman 2 and Back to the Future had pretty major reshoots, but they were very much the exception to the rule back then. Nowadays, major reshoots are practically expected, because when there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, who wants to take a chance on releasing a movie that tested badly with audience? And this is the biggest bad faith. When we talk about massive, and this is like Captain America and the Thunderbolts. They always have reshoots. They always account for reshoots. Bruh. The reshoots are like
picking up lines of dialogue, maybe a couple shots here and there that didn't translate well, whatever. Not 5 fucking months of entirely new scenes and action sequences writers brought in. Those are the type of reshoots they're doing consistently on Marvel, and you wonder why they lose money.
Sees Justice League, Suicide Squad,
And yeah, DC does it too, but it's specifically lately a Marvel thing.
of Destiny, The Flash, and the Marvels all had massive reshoots, mostly because of appalling test screenings and panicking studios. And the real problem here is that reshoots basically replicate all of the other problems that are already stacking up, because now you're going to have to hire even more shitty writers to try and fix the problems created by the previous shitty writers. And all that new work is going to have to be checked over by sensitivity readers and the diversity and inclusion consultants to make sure it adheres to the message. Then you have to recall all those expensive actors with their expensive assistants and work with the intimacy coordinators and the on-site therapists to make sure nobody gets too stressed by the whole thing. Then you have to bring back overworked and expensive visual effects companies to do more CGI to try to cover up the massive cracks in your screenplay. And you have to answer to all the extra producers and the executive producers and the creative consultants who all want to know why you're not returning their calls anymore.
It's a wonder anything gets made, and this is what Elon Musk was talking about when he showed all those inclusion standards and all the things. How could you make anything? How could you make anything with these shackles and restraints put on you?
Add all of these different factors together, and it's no fucking wonder that movies are so expensive and difficult to make now. The whole industry's become so bloated and inefficient, so overstuffed with expensive and unqualified people, so dependent on spectacle and superficiality that they've basically priced themselves right out of their own market. A $300 or $400 million movie needs the best part of $1 billion just to break even, and as last year showed us, fewer and fewer movies are capable of reaching that milestone. So what's the solution, you might ask? Don't just complain about the problem, drinker, my good man. Show us a way out of it. How can Hollywood studios dig their way out of the financial
street
hole
level
that
and
they've
grounded
created for themselves? Well, the first thing they need
I'm going to challenge Drinker. Please, dear God, get through this explanation of how to fix everything and don't say street level or grounded.
to do is start trimming the fat, cut down on the number of pointless job roles on set, the intimacy coordinators and the sensitivity readers, the unnecessary producers and overseers who do nothing but clog up production. Stop relying so much on overblown CGI to carry a weak script and bring back practical effects and location shooting. Recognize that actors no longer sell movie tickets simply by existing and pay them accordingly, because if everyone does it, then they've got no choice but to accept it. Sorry, Dwayne, you're going to have to put that.
Or call them on it. You think you're so great? You think your bankability is so good? You get paid now on how much money the movie. You get paid on the back end because there are certain actors that are confident enough to do that.
A third private jet on hold for now. Also, bring back solid, quality, mid-budget movies that can be made for less than $100 million, because you can make 3 of them for every bloated wannabe mega blockbuster that's churned out. That means 3 times as many chances to have a smash hit, which in turn means less risk with individual projects, which results in less studio interference and more opportunities for creativity and innovation. It also allows you to avoid the dreaded pitfall of the safe, generic Omni film that has to try to appeal to absolutely everyone because it's the only hope of making back its ridiculous budget. But
I was hoping he would do a Panderstone reference because that's what the Panderstone was. Oh, to just appeal to everyone. We'll make the same movie over and over again. It'll just appeal to everyone.
Reality ends up satisfying no one. With cheaper films, you can afford to target a specific audience and actually appeal to them. And for fuck's sake, start hiring competent and experienced writers again who can actually deliver good scripts. And
I'm sorry if the majority of current writers or in the last 10 years that are really popular were white and male. I'm sorry. Yes, hire more people from underrepresented, but hire good ones. That's the point. You just got rid of all the talented people that happen to be white and male, and then you replace them with shitty people. It would have been fine. Like, you're telling me there were no talented black writers that were just waiting for their chance? You had to go, you skipped past right them and just went to the colleges and got the shittiest, most non-life experience having mofos ever?
Instead of relying on a bunch of meaningless
bring back good writers
that have been promoted into positions they're totally not qualified for, who are going to deliver substandard work that will require a ton of expensive reshoots to fix. Do these things and you might just find that making movies can be easier, more cost-effective, and more profitable than you imagined. Or on the other hand, feel free to ignore me and carry on shitting out $300 million turds that nobody watches until the money eventually runs out and your whole industry falls apart around you. The choice, as they say, is yours. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Oh, that's why he's the best. He didn't say grounded, and he didn't say street level and all the shit that they say. That's it. Pay these people what they're worth and not a penny more. Hire good actors. Stop putting CGI and everything. Stop using it to fix your problems. You can tell stories under 100 million with good character. But that's the point. You have to have good writers that can write that first and then do the rest. That's what it is. And his last options of either do that and go off into obscurity. We'll see what they do. If they go off into obscurity, that's fine. It'll just confirm the Iron Age, and we'll be the ones making, and I'll just watch his. Drinker is making a movie. We'll just watch his movie. And that's the point. We'll literally do it ourselves if they don't want to do it anymore. And with technology and all that, our CGI looks just as good, if not better, than modern Hollywood. So what the hell does that say about anything? Let me know what you thought of this video. Obviously, go over to subscribe to Drinker, because clearly he needs my clout and help to get subscribers, almost at 2 million. Thank you for watching this. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you've done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
well, bye.